Okay, guys. We saw what happened in the comments section of our Lords of Chaos trailer reaction. We're about to do the review, so let's be prepared. Ready? Shields up. Here we go. Hey everyone, welcome to the horror show. I'm Cecil Laird.
I'm Susie.
I'm Ruxpin.
I'm Fuego here.
And we put our shields down to go ahead and actually do the review for Lords of Chaos.
My fucking god.
So, here's the thing. I want to let Susie know right up front that any of the differences and anything spoilerific, let's save to the end, right?
Okay.
So we will not spoil anything for those of you that don't know the story.
Can I make a suggestion?
What?
Should me and you go first and then
Yes.
let Jaime
I think
and
that's a good
Susie-
idea.
Let's
I think
do
that's a
that.
good idea.
Okay.
Okay.
So non-spoilers.
Yes, we're going to do the non-spoiler aspect of the movie first, but we'll do the review like we normally do with our overall thoughts, then thoughts on the story, the acting, the effects, all of that, and the music, all of that good stuff in turn. Yes, so ladies first, Marcia. The reason we're going first is because we are uninitiated into the Mayhem verse, as it were.
Yeah.
So, Marcia, why don't you go first, and what did you think?
So coming into this like fresh, like I had no idea really what the movie was about. I didn't even know it was a band. Sorry, I'm not into the metal scene, but I thought it was a really great movie. I thought it was very graphic. I thought it had a lot of heart in it, and it was also told me a story that I had absolutely no idea about. And it was really interesting and a little fascinating for me, and a little jarring at parts. But I guess that's the point. I'm assuming that's the point. I hope I learned my lesson, and that was being told to me in this movie. I don't know if she'll tell me if I did or not. But no, I thought I liked it because probably because I don't know the history, and I don't have my heart into this genre as much. And but I thought it was really well done. I thought it was well acted. And the sound design and the effects, everything was well put together. There was definitely money behind it.
Okay. Now, again, just a little proviso for some of the inevitable haters that are going to watch this, and no matter what we say, they're going to comment down below how little we know about the actual situation. And of course, this is going to start blasting off now during the review. But, guys, we realize that this is a dramatization and a version of the events. This does even say at the beginning, based on truth, lies, and what really happened. So there's a healthy mixture in this film, and it's not going to be, they're not striving to be a straight to reality reproduction of events that happened. For those of you that are like, this movie's all lies.
Because all of them were there themselves.
Yeah, exactly.
Oh my god,
seriously.
All right. Anyway, so keep that in mind. Keep that in mind. So, that being said, my opinion, I liked this movie a lot, and it affected me in a weird way. Like, when I finished it, I was like, that movie really kind of got to me in a strange way, because I did buy into the story of it all. And yes, I agree with Marcia when she said there was a little bit of heart in it, because they played the Euronymous character as sort of the core driving force, the main character, as it were, of the film, and there was an arc to his character, and so I do understand that, and the arc played well for me. There were a lot of things that surprised me about the movie, and surprised me about my reaction to the movie, and that is to say that I can handle the Freddys, the Jasons, the Michael Myerses, and the laid to rests, and the collectors, and all that stuff, the over-the-top gore. What I'm starting to realize with this movie is the more realistic, brutal stuff can get to me a little bit more than all of that stuff that's been so overdone and Hollywoodized at this point. Because there were a lot of scenes where I was like, Jesus, I just kind of wanted to look away like, that's enough, you know? And, but I think that that's a mark of a good movie. And that doesn't happen to me very often. Mm-hmm. And so I have to give the movie credit where credit's due. Mm-hmm. I bought into it on a level that I hadn't bought into a lot of things. And I started off trying to watch this movie while doing some editing, and my eyes just kept drawing right back to the other screen. I ended up, nope, I just got to watch the movie. And that's what I did. And I'm really, I enjoyed the film for as all the weird things it made me feel throughout it. So I liked it. So, let's start with Fuego. Let's start with Fuego.
Jaime wants to go first.
I don't necessarily want to. I just know that you're more into this style
So
of
that's why I'm gonna say
extreme
go
metal
first.
than I am. I'm definitely more so into the brand of death that they were talking smack about at a couple particular points in this movie. They're like, oh, those, Swedes, blah, blah, blah. They're all just playing their death metal and listening to Morbid Angel and stuff. And that's the thing, like, the black metal movement in Norway was all about trying to one-up the extreme music that had come before them. That was, like, their credo, and it was almost a punk rock mentality, which we see a little bit of, in the fact that I don't know as much about the not playing live shows and whatnot, but about going super lo-fi with the recordings and with the attitude above fame and above success and marketing yourself and all this other stuff. And it's just really funny the way that they twisted some things around that I'm not 100% if this was just for the narrative or if it was really as it was. And I don't know if we'll ever know, because I don't know if anybody aside from that black circle of people actually really knows, Varg and his intentions and stuff like that. But the way they framed it here, I found very interesting in the fact that it was almost like one person had a vision and then it was rubbed off on another that took it even more seriously than the person who envisioned it for the aspects of fame, despite the fact that you see this so much in music where somebody is like, oh, I don't want fame, and they use that as a means to get fame because they're so degaff about it and whatnot. But
Kurt Cobain.
Yeah. It was very faithful in some regards, and others it wasn't. But since I'm not as into this extreme movement, I wasn't as into the music they were covering, but I was into the dramatic element that they brought to it. And the fact that somebody like Marcia, who isn't into this form of metal in any way, shape, or form, can still say it was a compelling movie, for me, that shows that it was a big-time success with their approach. So, Susie. Ooh,
Do I need to pull my shield up?
Okay, real quick. First off, yes, the things that happened in the movie did happen, but things in between the fillers were fucking bullshit. Absolutely fucking bullshit. Like, Emery, he never had a girlfriend. He was very much to himself. So all that shit about him cutting his hair and all that shit, no, never fucking happened. Okay? So, and then I fucking hate how they, like, the trailer, yes, it was fun, but they're from Norway, and I think they should have stayed true with that, like, even the accents themselves.
That was one thing that threw me off.
Right. That I did not. I found a big problem with. Like, thirdly, wherever the fuck I am, they did not even contact the original members of Mayhem about making this fucking movie.
You're able to license the music, though.
Like, the music that they used was not Mayhem.
Really?
It was not Mayhem at all.
Even in the live performances?
It was not Mayhem.
As somebody who's not familiar with Mayhem, though.
Okay, so it was not Mayhem throughout the whole fucking movie. The only time Attila, the new singer of Mayhem, which I thought was kind of cool, Attila, his son, was in one scene when they're in the studio and they're actually recording.
Okay.
And that was his son, the
Oh,
lead
that
singer
kid that we didn't see in the whole rest of the movie?
Exactly.
Okay.
That's his son, Attila, who's the lead
Short
singer.
hair and the
Yes,
sides and
the
everything.
lead singer Attila right now. That's his son that was in the movie.
Okay.
I cannot, like, within me, I was all about seeing this movie. I loved how it looked. Like, I love funny shit, but, like, I don't like the fact that they Hollywood this shit.
Did they?
Like, it's all about, like, oh, that's how we get big and blah, blah, blah. No! Like,
It's a Vice production. Keep that in mind.
I could not about it. Yes, the facts of the major things that happened, yes, they did happen. Although Varg, he's like, oh, it's self-defense, motherfucker. Okay, no, it wasn't. Okay, but you were angry, whatever. But, like, I hated, like, I think it was a bastardization of the culture, like, black metal culture, and...
So you didn't even enjoy it on a dramatic level or anything like that?
I'm so invested into it that I'm not an elitist. You know this. I'm not an elitist by any means. I wish it was more about the music. and how it came to be and how it did kind of redefine that culture and everything like that, instead of just like, oh, you hurt my feelings, oh, you hurt me too, I'm gonna fucking stab you. You know what I mean? Like, that shit, like, yeah, it fucking happened, but like, I wish it was more about how it came to fruition and how it was such a big influence to so many people.
Okay.
Well, there you go. There it is in a nutshell.
Sorry.
Dangerously close to spoilers a couple times in there, Susie. So
Sorry. Well, it's not
She
spoilers
danced
because
around them.
it is because people haven't seen it.
I don't.
And I didn't know about it. She didn't know about it. So half the people watching this probably don't know about it. So
Well,
you
it-
gotta watch it.
She didn't mention
That's why I mentioned it at the
specifics.
beginning.
I didn't mention
I know.
specifics.
That's why I'm saying
did
dangerously
not.
close. So
But this
watch
is
yourself.
this is
counselor.
common knowledge.
It's not common knowledge.
It
It's
is,
knowledge
look
to
it
you.
It's knowledge in small black circles.
It is not
Black Sabbath.
common knowledge.
I'm sorry for my people.
Yes,
Like,
not
it
common
is.
though.
Yeah,
So-
I've
So-
heard the black metal fans. It's
But you know
probably
what?
very common
What I
knowledge.
do like is that you guys are like, oh my god, this is intriguing.
Yeah.
That I do like that because, like I said, it is like a bastardization.
I didn't even
to,
know
like,
it was real until like the 20 minutes in the movie, and you're like, no, this really happened. I'm like, what?
Yeah,
Yeah.
see, 20 minutes in, Susie says the first big beat that's going to happen in 15 minutes.
Which I was surprised they did in 20 minutes into the movie. They just really went for it.
Yeah, they
that's what I was
really
like, I wasn't
did.
sure. Look,
And that's
'cause
something I
was
want to
just
talk
still
about.
2 hours.
So,
long,
okay,
though,
so
guys.
this big epic moment that happens that I did not mention right now happens.
Right.
And Marcia was like, holy shit, that's crazy. I'm like, that really happened. She's like, what the fuck? I'm like, yeah, that really happened. So you should watch it. Because I didn't ruin anything.
Except that you said what was going to happen 15 minutes before it happened. But anyway, nonetheless,
Take control, Cecil.
guys,
It
we're
was
going to
still
go ahead
very
and jump
effective.
into
It
the
was still very
story.
effective.
So,
To people who are not aware of the culture or of the music and everything, I am glad that you guys were intrigued by it. So
I feel
So-
like I learned
I still watch
something, even
Mayhem
though
to
if it
this
was
day.
Lies.
So the
Until
story
it comes down.
is,
They were
it's
just here,
the
like, last year.
origin, the quote-unquote origin of the band called Mayhem that introduced Norwegian Black Metal to the world.
yeah, and my friend still fucks Hailhammer to this day.
Okay, great. Well, so that has nothing to do with the story. So,
Great
Yes.
drummer, though.
so anyway, it's the rise and well, would-be fall, although the band's still going, but it honestly, the movie doesn't indicate that the band still goes after the film.
They absolutely do.
I understand.
Okay.
We're reviewing the movie, Susie.
telling- okay,
Review what we have, not what we don't.
So I'm
he's
telling
like,
you-
the movie doesn't imply that, though.
They do.
Okay, but the
Okay.
movie doesn't imply that. So
I'm telling you.
it does feel like the rise and fall story. Okay?
So, and
Okay.
to that point, like when I realized what was going to happen, I was like, oh, I take that this is like the only album they make, right? And she's like, oh, it's trying to punch me in the face. Like,
Yeah.
I have no idea what's going on. And
No.
I'm like, you're
Only
right, I have
album-
no idea.
Only album with that lineup.
Yeah.
Also,
so-
Berzum,
But they were
even with their neo-Nazi
It was like 2 years.
Varg, with his neo-Nazi shit, it's still very popular today.
Okay. Well,
Burzum.
again, Burzum is another band in the movie, for those of you, most
he
of
still
you that
playing?
don't know. So, yeah,
Was
so...
he, was
He
he
was
playing
released
in
from
the
prison.
prison? He was playing songs in the
He
prison?
did like a couple dark synth albums, if I remember correctly, but yeah, he didn't have access to anything
Guys,
else.
we are way
Yeah, we
off
are.
here.
Sorry.
So please
Reel it
rein
in.
it in here.
All right.
All right. So the story is about the rise and would-be fall of the band called Mayhem and how it started by a guy named Euronymous and how there's a bunch of trials and tribulations within the band like any other band movie. I'm guessing that's the Hollywoodization of it.
Oyster.
But you have to do that to bring people like Marcia and myself into these stories. So they do it, I think, effectively. And there are events that are based on true events that are portrayed very brutally and very on Front Street, even compared to some horror movies that will cut away after a certain point. This is a very visceral horror movie telling this story, and I think the story played out like, I was like, I didn't know what was happening next, so I was on board the whole time. I really liked how the story played out.
So really quick, so the guy who actually created the movie was in Bathory, which it's a band still plays today,
Yeah,
and they were
named
around the
after.
same time as Mayhem was around. So it's really upsetting to see how the bastardization actually fucking happened by someone who was actually there.
She's
So
Okay.
dropping now, yeah.
Okay,
He was in Bathory.
Marcia, your thoughts on the story? Can be quick.
Well, yeah, I mean, again, like, I thought, like, without knowing the reality, I think that what I was told was it was a well put together story. Like, without knowing anything, if you take away, if, like, say this wasn't based on real story, I feel like it would be liked, like somebody like Susie or some, like a fan like Susie, because if it wasn't real, and it wasn't it didn't affect you like so deeply because you are a huge fan.
God,
of
I
it.
didn't think it would.
Yeah, like, and I get the same way about certain movies.
Yeah,
So
true.
I understand why you're so upset, and I think if it wasn't that, you would enjoy it. So I thought they did a good job for somebody like me who have no idea of the real story. It was captivating, and it kept me intrigued, and it really was, like you're saying, a little bit of the kind of like whiny type of it, and you're kind of like, okay, like, can we move on? And I felt like maybe it took a little longer than they needed to. It drowned out and went on a little longer than it
didn't
should
need to
have.
be 2 hours.
Yeah, but it was still intriguing. I sat there and watched the whole thing, and there was the parts where it was like what Cecil was saying was just super graphic, and just kind of like, I got that I watch a lot of stuff, and I listen to a lot of really horrible stuff that is true that people do, and this was kind of like, damn.
No, it was really
Yeah.
funny because we took a really quick break,
Like-
and I paused the movie, and she's like, "Oh my god, we're only 30 minutes in."
Yeah.
Like so much had
like
happened.
so much had happened in 30 minutes, or
Set a
like,
precedent.
I felt like that could have been a movie on itself, but no, like that wasn't the end. That was the beginning, and I was like, that's crazy. Like you're able to pack so much story into 30 minutes, and then you feel like you've watched the whole movie, but not to a point where it was like it's too much, right? So like, I thought it was great. I thought they did such a really good job.
Fuego, your thoughts on the story?
Yeah, story, I mean, that's the thing. I'm not as deeply entrenched in it as Susie is because of the fact that I was a punk kid, and like SoCal, melodic hardcore. And then as far as metal movements go, I didn't get that into like, Florida Death or even Norwegian Black or anything like that. For me, it was the Gothenburg movement and, all of those melodic death bands at the Gates and In Flames and stuff like that. That was where I got into extreme metal with stuff like that. It was not this movement. And my knowledge of it was from reading Revolver and Kerrang and different metal magazines and stuff like that. So I was aware of these guys and all the crazy things that they did and the controversy behind the band, but it was a very minimal aspect of knowledge. And so for that reason, despite it being Hollywoodized, and it was very evident that it was Hollywoodized, I thought it was going to be a subtitled movie initially, and when it wasn't, I was kind of shocked, but with Rory Culkin in it,
But that's what's so crazy about the trailer. I was all about it, but then when it like really dived into it, even the original singer Jack, dead. It was very Americanized, and I was like, so.
Yeah, but for me, for what it was trying to do, I feel like it most definitely accomplished that in the aspect of brutality that you guys mentioned. I thought it really got across very well, and also just the scope of some of the other crimes they perpetuated without going into it until we get to like set design and stuff like that. This was obviously a movie with money behind the storytelling, which I appreciated, although maybe the elitist people won't appreciate that. They're like, oh, it should have been like made for $50,000 and blah blah blah. And but I mean, some of the stuff that they were able to get across, I don't think they could have done with like a microscopic budget like you saw for a lot of these records. But yeah, I don't know. I feel like I would have a much more visceral response like you if I was more into the movement, which I was not. So.
Now, let's talk about acting. But before we talk about acting, I feel like I need to address the fact that Susie and I do have disagreements like this on a regular basis. So there's
we love
there's
each
no
other.
hard feelings going on or anything.
Not at all.
Just so you guys know.
He's my best friend. You guys.
This just happens sometimes when we talk about stuff. It occurred to me while you guys were talking. I'm like, that probably didn't go off that well for the viewers.
Okay, these guys.
But I know that she,
they're my best friends.
Yeah. So.
And we may disagree.
Don't fret about any sort of animosity because it's not there. No. So let's talk about the
acting.
Kick
him in the dick later. It's not a big deal. Like
she probably will.
The best is when Susie has this much to say about something.
Yeah, exactly. So let's talk about the acting though. Now I thought Rory Culkin did a great job actually, and I appreciated everyone. I was annoyed by Varg almost every time he was on screen, and I don't know if maybe I just didn't like his look. Or what, or the way he acted, or whatever, but I just didn't. Until the very end. Yeah, I just didn't like him that much. So he's the only one that kind of rubbed me the wrong way. But I don't know if that was kind of on purpose or not. So that's the. But otherwise, I like the acting of pretty much everyone.
I think Varg reminded me of single white female in a way.
Okay.
Right? Like the girl after that, you don't know what's wrong, but you know something's really wrong with that guy.
Okay.
And you probably should have let him go a while ago.
Okay.
But I thought everybody was great. I said, the chemistry and everything just really played into this movie, and it just really helped build that story that kept me captivated.
There it is.
I had to hit Fuego for it. Through the whole movie, and there were times that I felt like it was a little lacking, but when one guy went, and I guess we're not really going to talk about it that much yet, but I was like, wow, that was really, actually there's two parts I was like where there's some, I don't know, there's so much brutal, but the actors that were part of the brutal and whatever, they did so good. I was going, ooh, that was good.
Yeah.
That was a good.
Yeah.
There
were at least 3 or 4 really brutal scenes that were just.
It really got you, and I think that has a lot to say with everyone involved in this film. I'm sorry, I just if you're thinking about a movie. As a movie, that's the kind of reaction you want to get, and that's what you want to feel when you're watching a movie. If you're spending 2 hours and invested, is to be I feel moved.
Fueguísimo.
Legit. Performances were all good. I mean, Culkin I thought was a little too whiny at times, but I don't know as much about the character.
That's just the writing.
Yeah, I guess so. All of the supporting players were decent enough. Hellhammer and Dead and all that. Nobody's mentioned the girlfriend. I actually liked Sky Ferreira and pretty much everything that I've watched her in. She was a singer at one point. Now she's delved into acting, and
That she was good?
Yeah, she's not bad. So, I don't know. Varg and the performance and just the weird, almost flip-flop that we have between the two of them, I still found one of the most interesting arcs in the entire movie, the way they decided to frame it. Their symbiotic relationship, but yet they're almost trading places aspect and whatnot, and yet at the end of the day they're both still kind of posers to a degree, just in various ways. Yeah, Susie has something to say.
Go ahead, Susie.
Okay,
they honestly portrayed them both as such, right?
Yes, but that's a fucking huge problem. Okay, Burzum, yes. Burzum, I still listen to Jay.
Careful about spoilers.
Burzum.
I know, I'm just saying up front.
Darkness and black speech.
Yes, you guys gotta remember, for that time, there's besides death metal, speed metal, everything, there's nothing that really encompasses that black, other side, death kind of feel to it. And these, there's people even there who have these urges and everything, and they finally find something that they relate to. And yes, it is a bit psychotic, but there's nothing else out there like this. You know what I mean? So black metal was a huge turning point. And no, they didn't claim the fucking term of true Norwegian black metal. Let me just get that out the way fucking first, okay?
Are you gonna get to the acting at any point?
Yes, so anyway. So the acting, not as an elitist, I did enjoy the acting, okay? I just wish the dialogue was different. Okay. I wish it wasn't so Hollywood. Like I said, I wish it was more about the music instead of the drama and which was put in. They had like A, B, and C. Okay, how do we fill in all this shit? Okay, we're gonna add a girlfriend and all this other shit, and it's like, no, it wasn't all about like touring and like making a big fucking deal about it. It was about the music, and that's what I really am upset about, that it wasn't more about the music instead of it's more about like the drama that was behind it.
Okay. So but the acting was okay.
It was all right.
Yeah,
Okay.
there you go. There's
All right, so let's hit the music and the effects, and then we'll close it out because this is already dragging on a bit. So, the music, this music isn't for me. I mean, yes, it might not be Mayhem, but this just kind of, I don't really dig on it that much. The growling, the screaming, vocals have never done it for me. I'm okay with it just as the music sometimes if I'm writing a particular thing, like an action scene or something like that, but otherwise I just don't choose to listen to this stuff. So, but for the movie, I think it was appropriate, and I think they used the music well in telling the story. So there were the concerts, and then there were times that they messed with the audio of the music and stuff like that. So I think the music worked for the film. It's just not the kind of music that I really dig on. Mm-hmm. So let's skip Susie again. Go to Marcia.
I thought I actually wanted to mention the sound design. I thought the sound design was really well done.
I'm sorry, she was getting down during it.
Mm-hmm. There was times I was doing this.
Mm-hmm.
I'm not a huge metal fan, but I respect music when I hear it, and I thought that it was good for that genre, and that's coming from someone who doesn't really listen to it, so you can be mad about that if you want. But I do enjoy it. I love a good drummer, and there were some cool drum beats going on that I really got into, and a good like guitar riff. I'm into it. But yeah, I'm not a big person. Use your imagination. No. But anyways, but the sound design is what it really got me, because like the really brutal moments, I was kind of listening for it because I wanted to see like it's visually so real, and the acting felt so real, and they were able to like get the sounds I felt to really bring it home and take it to that level that I will be taking home with me later tonight, because it's just like it was a lot.
Fuego.
Yeah, I mean, I actually am curious now, Susie. So it was re-recordings that they used in the movie.
It wasn't even the band.
Okay, so they brought in session players to replay the song.
It wasn't Mayhem, period. It was an entirely different band music that they played.
But Mayhem songs, though, is what
they
I'm
didn't
trying
even
to
contact the band.
Okay, but it was Mayhem songs that they were playing.
No.
Re-recordings of Mayhem songs.
She's saying no. It was different band's music.
Different band.
Very interesting. Okay. Well, I mean, I got into what black metal morphed into over the years when it actually tried to implement production techniques and stuff like that. Whether it's like Old Man's Gloom or Old Man's Child, like we were talking about.
Old Man's Child.
Yeah, I like Later Immortal. I don't know. I'm just not as into that particular scene. But I mean, even the soundtrack, I liked when they're listening to stuff like Dio and whatnot, and you kind of see the bands that were influencing their sound, like in the party scene where they're playing Stand Up and Shout and whatnot. It's not as much a style of metal that I'm into. I like some incorporation of melody, and I like production values personally. So, but I can understand the attitude once again. Being from that whole hardcore scene of punk rock, which is very much what this feels like to me. But sound design, some of the violent scenes that go down, I must say, where you're just hearing some of the squish and the stab and whatnot, because there's some death in this movie without really divulging stuff, and the scene we talked about 20-something minutes in, and
all three of them, I think.
Okay, so this is
I guess that's more so shifting in the set design.
Okay, but that's the thing you have to remember. Again, this is the first band that was really big, besides Venom, that kind of...
Venom being from Britain.
Right, but making that... So, Norway, that making that kind of misfit idea, there's a lot of people who have a lot of like anger and shit like that, and it's released in a lot of music, and I think black metal is so beautiful. It's not just like it's a beautiful thing. But yes, no, they didn't contact the band because they fucking knew that they would not be okay with it because they were not okay with the movie at all.
Okay.
Mayhem was not okay with the movie, so they played a lot of another band starts with an M. I don't even know. I've never heard of them, so I don't really care.
The Muse.
So, I fucking wish. Okay, so obviously I'm not the least. I'm not the least. I think that the music that they did play was very appropriate for the movie. So yeah. So
Okay. Well, let's segue into the effects then, because yeah, I mean the effects were really really well done and almost entirely, if not entirely, practical. And from a band member cutting himself on stage to like a degree that I wasn't expecting. To
Escalated quickly.
Yeah, it did. Well, and that was interesting to see the actual audience reaction, like getting into being sprayed with the blood and stuff like that. I was like, oh, this is
it was really
weird.
funny.
I don't know what I feel about this, but
so Marcia and I just watched this right before we did all this. And just seeing her reaction, I was like, "That's a typical black metal show."
Jeez. but then, yeah, it gets
not
it gets
literally
even
with
more.
the actually like blood, like
Yeah.
actually, you
They'll
know.
bring goats' heads on stage and
Yeah.
goats' heads.
Well, but so it gets even more aggressive off stage, and especially towards the 30-minute mark, where I'm just like, oh my god, like real close-ups on stuff that you don't normally get real close-ups on, and then like
If
just
you're not used to it,
the effects are all just done very convincingly and gruesomely, and like as a big gore guy in horror movies, this was just done in such a realistic way that it just unnerved me in a way that the Saw movies just don't. So I don't know. That's again, I think that's a feather in the movie's cap. Quite honestly.
Yeah.
Quite honestly.
I
So.
think it really just, instead of like glamorizing death, it kind of did the opposite of just going, this is what it means.
Showed the real ugly nature.
Yeah.
this is real people with these real problems
Yeah.
who don't know how to express it.
Yeah, so it was it was really jarring and a very effective, extremely effective, and you know, I made like before the very like the heartfelt scene that really got to the one that we were talking about, but when you're talking about the concert, I made a joke like someone's gonna get an infection, like
Yeah, she did.
like that guy has lost a lot of blood, and who knows if that was clean. But you know, and like they were eating the pig's head and stuff, and I was like, that can't be good for your.
He's just like, that
you know,
can't be
for
sanitary.
for your gut, you know, your gut health. I don't know if that's gonna really align with you well. But you know, but then it got really serious, and like I didn't know what was about to happen when like. You know, he took the first cut on himself, and then it just kept escalating, and I was like,
But the other
Oh my
bandmates too, they didn't know what the fuck was going on.
like I was like, wow, I wasn't expecting that, you know, because I didn't like, you know, they touched on his depression and everything like that, but it got really real, and like it really makes you think about, you know, we've all lost somebody in the past that was affected by deep depression and suicide, and to actually see that in such a real fashion is like, I mean,
It's disturbing.
it is, and it's meant to be, and I really respect them for that. And the effects were good. The effects were effective. So
Fuego.
I was especially impressed, since we've already touched most about the gore and different things like that. I loved where there's a few key large-scale incidents that transpire with like it. Can I go into it, or should we hold back on it as far as the whole church burning?
Well, that's in the trailer, so
Okay, yeah. These guys were notorious, and this movement got really their first aspect of national and international acclaim and notoriety because of the fact that they were burning down churches, and they were all Satanists, but almost like to a degree, kind of.
But it
like,
wasn't all of them.
The scene became known for it, though, is what I'm trying to say, and that's how they received international. And you know what? They were probably doing it to some degree to get attention, you know, and that was why it transpired. And some of these churches that are burned down, I mean, it did not look like. I mean, God, you watch something and it's like, oh, that's a little miniature that they're burning down, whatever.
Like,
this was legit.
buildings.
They were burning down huge structures, and it looked terrific. And just those images of burning wood and crosses on fire crumbling and stuff. It's very indicative of the message that music was trying to put forth, and the pure blackest evil which the whole movement rallied behind. And yeah, I thought that was, aside from the things that I already knew were going to transpire, which did include that since I was familiar with this story. Yeah, those scenes really hit the most for me, especially with my upbringing and stuff. Seeing churches burned is like, damn, alright, legit.
Susie, effects?
I thought they were great. I love practical effects, so I thought they were executed very well.
Awesome. That's what I was hoping for.
That was a concise response.
All right, I think that's going to do it, you guys, for our review of Lords of Chaos. We made it through. Who knows what kind of comments. You know, I don't know that we'll get that many bad comments, except to some people will be like, she's right, the rest of you are fucknuts, you know, like, and stuff like that.
No,
and
Danzig shirt, come on, man, it's 2019.
Yeah, who cares, guys?
I didn't think it would affect me as much as it did. I was like, wait a minute. I was like, hold on, wait a minute.
So, anyway, let us know in the comments down below if you've seen Lords of Chaos. What did you think? Does this make you more or less likely to want to see it? If you haven't yet, I'd be curious about all of that. Let us know in the comments down below while you're down there. Feel free to click the link to our Patreon if you want to support the channel more directly and choose movies like this for us to review going forward. Until next time, though, I've been Cecil Laird.
I'm Susie Von Slaughter.
I'm Ruxpin.
And remember, stay scared!